I didn't even want to talk about this. It's old news to me, but it stirred a lot of controversy in our Discord channel, which you should absolutely join. We're going to talk about Android logging calls and SMS messages on today's Not So Critical update. I'm not even going to start with a solo shot reading the article. Basically, the story is that Android, all we want to do is fight about it. So let's just get to it. Android was found to be logging calls and SMS messages, including the hashes of the messages, so they could theoretically be decrypted and read.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Theoretically. Well, no, that's not true. They couldn't be theoretically decrypted. I suppose they could be, I don't know. That's not the point.
Agreed.
The point is it's sending data about you. It's tracking your information like metadata without any way of opting out. There's no way of saying to Google, don't do this. They're just doing it without asking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. John, do you have a strong opinion on this either way?
I have a different angle. My angle is like, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious that it hurts. Like
every time you make this is installed in like a billion devices. Right, and it's recording. I don't know how many phone calls and text messages every day, and it's sending all the data to Google.
I'm not even a little surprised. I'm not even mad. Like there's no shock here. Like when the art. That's why I stayed out of it largely in the discussion, because I saw it. I was like, wait, is this even news? Like.
And I almost didn't share it, Peter.
I'm disappointed at the lack of outrage.
Of course. No. It's outrageous, but it's expected of them. At this point, Google is such a force of privacy intrusion that it's like everything, like the Google Nest at home. What, they're not listening in on every single conversation you're having?
Oh God, you sound like Mike now. You sound like Mike is.
No, but I'm not. The difference is Mike is like, I'm okay with it. It's happening. But my perspective is obviously it's not okay, but it's going to happen if we don't do anything about it. Like now they've been called out. Are they going to change anything? It's just like the incognito thing. It took a class action lawsuit to actually bring this up, and they're not even, I don't even think they've changed it yet. Like they're still doing it. And if they did change it, the only thing they changed was how obvious it is that they're doing it. They're doing it in an incognito way of tracking.
Very good, very good, John.
So first of all, John,
is your wife pregnant, by the way? Are you a dad to be now? Is that what's happening here? Sorry, carry on.
John, I appreciate your mic impression. That was excellent. Thank you. And you're right. Well, so I think I'm almost coming around to a perspective on this that you might appreciate. From a privacy standpoint, like the information's out, information wants to be free. You can't stop that. The horse has already left the barn. Whatever. From a security standpoint, however, watching what's going on in Russia right now is they're cracking down on what we would call free speech, protests and news reports and everything that's happening in protest over there. It does raise some cause for concern, especially given the increasingly authoritarian leanings of larger and larger groups within the United States. So maybe if it wasn't happening close to home, I wouldn't care. Classic American mindset, right? But we already had a comment not too long ago on our Tucker Carlson story that said, like, laugh while you can because you'll all be in prison soon. Okay. That's a pretty direct threat against free speech. So
interesting comment though, but
there's a concern.
I like that just for anybody who's watching, we had an interesting discussion about that. I thought quite short but interesting. Mike basically went ahead and, because Podcast Dad deleted it for us to protect us from the trolls. Thank you. Wait, which way do I look? That way. Hey, thanks, Mike. But there was a question of like, should we leave it up? Would it be good for engagement? Will we get some will the algorithm kind of kick into gear and start provoking controversy? Oh, look, check out this channel because they've got conversation. And the decision was, no, let's not do it because we don't want to feed the trolls. And I like that. Mike was really full on. He thought about it overnight, and he came in and he's like, guys, no. And we got told.
I am the cop that stops it.
I will stop this car right now and I will turn it around. If you
So the security side of this, I'm sure you appreciate the position. Where am I still falling short?
It's just horrendous. It's horrible. The metadata itself is terrible. If you had AirPods on, right, or AirPods don't have to be, other earpods are available. Yeah, in-ear earbuds. Then and you were walking around, and I was like walking around after you, and I just copied every phone call that you made and every the person that you were sending a text message to, like all day long, 24 hours a day, and then kept a record of that. Would you be happy with that? Would you be all right with me just doing that?
With you doing it? No,
I think he's saying with a faceless person doing it. Oh, you specifically.
Anybody. Yeah, me.
But
it's always happened with phone calls. It's always happened with phone calls.
No. Answer the question, Mike. Would you be happy if I did that?
No.
Obviously I don't want you following me around.
Very happy.
No.
But Peter, I'm going to give you a little bit of a different perspective. So,
John,
in the
don't
UK,
leave me, buddy. Don't leave me, buddy.
But I'm really walking the fine line here. So,
okay.
You, let's say in the UK, you are on Vodafone. Vodafone is a cellular provider, right? And maybe an ISP as well in the UK. They have been tracking phone calls, logging who you call, and keeping track of this for as long as they've been in business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Google, right? They've kind of, because it used to be that when we picked up the landline to make a call, the only entities that were able to track that call, it wasn't the phone, the physical phone manufacturer. They didn't have the means to. It was the phone provider, the phone line provider. So let's say Vodafone, and the government. Those were the two that were able to track and log, and they were and are still today completely doing so. And now, because we've entered the smart era of devices, we have these phones. They're created by, just like before, phone makers, but they have the means to log and track. Should they? No. Should we assume that they do? 100%.
Right.
Is Apple logging and collecting what and who we talk to? Maybe no, but AT&T is, Verizon is, Vodafone is.
And if Apple is, they would just call it diagnostic information.
Right. But but do they? Because the argument is that they're protecting everyone from bad guys. That's why they're logging this information, storing it for God knows how long. Is so when the government wants to, they can send a subpoena to AT&T and say, where was he? Who did he call? And et cetera, et cetera. And at what time?
That could be true, but it's probably actually just an artifact. I think, back when you used to get an itemized phone bill with every single call on it. I don't think at that time it was because of criminal investigation, but they just never stopped doing it.
It was just the what do you call it?
I think they just never stopped doing it.
Because that's not, and even then it was like they were charging you per time on the line, right? And also depending on where you were calling, because you had to jump through all of these providers, like the internet routes today. But the truth is that I feel like that's such a shit way of billing. Like it feels almost like it was just made up, because
for a long time,
they all have
mobile phones, you used to pay per message charges for SMS, and that finally they've moved away from that. Finally, I mean, it's been years, whatever. It's been a while.
So okay, there's all sorts of potential justifications for that system being in place, either legacy or it was needed for billing or it's not. There's at least something, but for Google, there's absolutely no fucking reason at all for them to be doing this. Nothing. Like for me to be following Mike around, taking a note of I wouldn't do it to you, John, don't worry. But to be following Mike around, taking a note of all his calls and like who he's sending text messages to, it's just, there's no point. There's no reason.
But I feel like you're surprised that Google, the privacy nightmare created, is doing this. It's like being surprised that Chrome, Google's browser, is tracking us and what we do when we don't have any tracking blockers or ad blockers in place. And even if we do that, Chrome is going to find a way to send that telemetry out anyway.
But there's got to be a line, right? There's got to be a line. Okay, if I told you that Chrome or Google were killing a small puppy for every instance of browser of Chrome that was installed, you would probably be surprised about that, right? That's about a bit too far, right? And I think this is a bit too far. I am surprised. I guess perhaps I haven't lost every shred of hope and naivety that I had once, because this is still just crazy to me.
Well, it
is crazy. Okay, let's not ignore the fact how insane it is that they're tracking not only every time we hit call, but also every time we hit send, and to who and what time. This is insane. But like, we're hypocrites, because this is going to get directly uploaded to Google servers and will be viewed on a Google platform. Primarily, this show is what I'm saying. So really,
and give me the stats. Give me the stats.
If we wanted to take a stance against Google or Apple or any of these companies, we would need to completely lock them out.
There's a value relationship there. There's something that we're giving them, and then we're getting out of it, right?
Right. Same here, though. But like, same here. I get a call out of it, and instead, they get to track who I called. That's the justification. Not saying I believe that. Just saying that's the justification.
And who knows what they're using? They could be using it to improve the customer experience for us. We don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're collecting it for some reason. It's telling them something about usage.
Oh, Mike. That's funny.
Okay.
You would.
All right. I think that's probably a great note to end on.
Peter takes the mic off, storms out of the studio. I'm fucking done.
We're done. This is over. End of this.
Ending the